He never thought he'd be here again, not in a romantic comedy kind of way, not with violins swelling and birds circling overhead, but in the quiet, unglamorous way of a man who has lived more years than he expected, who has buried the love of his life, and who has finally gathered the courage to whisper the most terrifying word of all. Again. At 67, Marvin sat in his car outside the cafe, staring at the door like it might bite. His palms were moist, his shirt collar suddenly too tight. A first date at this age felt absurd, like starting kindergarten at 40. And yet, here he was, fumbling for breath, rehearsing jokes, wondering if he should have worn the other shoes. They said dating got easier with age. They lied. The world he once knew, where love was written in mixtapes and phone calls after 10 p.m., was long gone. Today, it was video calls, filtered photos, profile bios, and abbreviations he didn't understand. IRL, DTF. He once Googled those, immediately regretting it. He missed slow dances. He missed notes passed in secret. He missed the smell of someone's perfume on your jacket the next day. But mostly Marvin missed Helen. 42 years. That's how long they were together. That's how long her laugh lived in the walls of their home. After she died, the silence was a third presence. He spoke to her photo sometimes, apologized for leaving the light on, for burning the soup, for still being here. But grief, as Marvin came to learn, isn't a still thing. It moves, it shifts, it folds itself into corners you don't expect, then jumps out when you're picking up milk. Eventually it quiets down, not because you forget, but because you carry it better. And maybe, just maybe, it creates a little space for something else to sit beside it. Her name was Carol. She was 70, wore red lipstick unapologetically, and had laugh lines that told stories longer than novels. They met through a book club neither of them actually wanted to join, but were dragged into by well-meaning neighbors. Marvin said something sarcastic about self-help books. Carol smirked. That was the beginning. He didn't think it was a date, just coffee, just two people who preferred bitter espresso and smart conversation over small talk. But she reached across the table and touched his hand when he made a joke about feeling invisible. Her touch was warm, grounding. It made something shift. Dating after 65 isn't just about love. It's about memory, muscle memory, emotional memory, the memory of what it means to be seen, to be touched, to be asked, "And how are you really?" At first, Marvin fumbled. He showed up with flowers that made Carol sneeze. He talked too much about Helen. He forgot the names of Carol's grandkids. But he showed up. He listened. He learned. He learned that romance didn't mean passion in the way it used to. It meant consistency. It meant asking if she took her meds that day. It meant offering a hand when stairs looked tall. It meant celebrating blood pressure numbers like birthdays. They moved slowly. There were no games. At their age, no one had the time or energy for pretense. Carol told him early on she had a bad knee and sometimes forgot names. Marvin told her he snored, had high cholesterol, and couldn't eat spicy food past 6 p.m. They laughed. It was liberating. Before Carol, Marvin tried online dating. The profiles were full of people trying too hard to be young or photos from decades ago. He matched with a woman named Joyce. They met for lunch. She was kind, articulate, and absolutely not the right fit. She wanted adventure, noise, social events. Marvin wanted quiet, peace, connection. What he realized is this. At this stage, love isn't about excitement. It's about comfort without boredom. It's about knowing someone will help you find your glasses or remind you where you left the car. It's about someone who doesn't flinch when you forget a word, who holds your hand during blood work, who knows when to talk and when to just sit. Carol and Marvin took things slow. There was no talk of marriage. They weren't trying to merge lives. They were trying to walk beside each other for whatever time was left. And what beautiful time it was. They began taking Sunday walks. They'd sit on benches and watch birds. They'd bicker about crossword puzzles. Marvin started to look forward to Wednesdays because that's when she came over for tea. They watched old movies, debated over which actor aged best, and giggled like teenagers over things their grandchildren would roll their eyes at. And yes, there was intimacy, gentle, mindful, tender. At their age, it wasn't about performance. It was about presence, about relearning each other with reverence. Marvin used to worry that his body was too soft, too marked by age. Carol kissed each scar like a sacred site. But dating after 65 comes with unexpected trials. Marvin's son wasn't thrilled. "It's too soon, Dad." Carol's daughter questioned his intentions. Friends judged in whispers, but Marvin and Carol kept showing up for each other. That's what mattered. There were hard conversations. What happens if one of us gets sick? Do we tell our families we're exclusive? Do we mix finances? Do we plan holidays together or apart? They chose honesty, radical, sometimes uncomfortable honesty. They agreed not to move in together. They loved their space. They loved returning to each other. They set boundaries, made agreements. They didn't need to be everything for each other, just enough. One night after watching a documentary about aging, Carol turned to Marvin and asked, "What if I forget you one day?" He paused, looked into her eyes and said, "Then I'll remind you." Every single time. There were tears, and then there was soup. Dating at this age teaches you that love isn't loud. It's not Instagrammable. It's not urgent. It's the opposite. It's in the slowness, in the repetition, in the showing up. Marvin started keeping a small notebook. Every sweet thing Carol said, every joke they shared, every worry they faced and got through. He called it the Book of Us. One day he left it on her pillow. She read it, wept, and added her own entries. That's what love is now, a shared story still being written. So what must every man know before saying yes after 65? He must know that vulnerability is strength, not weakness. He must know that grief never fully goes away, but love can grow beside it. He must know that love isn't a replacement, it's a companion to memory. He must know that attraction shifts, but connection deepens. He must know that laughter cures more than medicine. He must know that the risk is worth it, even if it's just for a few more shared sunrises. Marvin didn't get a second youth, but he got a second tenderness. And that, dear viewers, is the true gift of saying yes. If you've made it this far, maybe you're wondering if it's your turn. If you're sitting in a house that feels too quiet. If you've tucked away romance thinking it's no longer for you. If you've stared at your phone wondering what a match even means, let this be your sign. Love is not a young man's game, it's a human one. And you, my friend, are still very much human. So say yes. Say yes to tea dates, to long conversations, to walks that take twice as long. Say yes to someone who doesn't complete you, but complements the journey. Say yes because your heart still beats. Because love is not about time left. It's about the time shared. This isn't the end of the story. It's the most honest chapter yet. So go live it. And if you're brave enough, comment below with your story, or your hopes, or your fears. Because someone else might need to hear it, and maybe, just maybe, you'll help them say yes too.